You heard of Shin Godzilla 2016, you heard of Shin Ultraman 2022, and Shin Kamen Rider 2023, all directed by Hideki Anno, a Japanese animator, filmmaker, and actor, best known for his anime series Neon Genesis Evangelion from 1995. That's older than me. Anyway, the reason why I bring this up is this one question. What is next for Mr. Anno? Kezza? Henshin? Honestly, I think I have an idea. And as you read in the title, what other movie could he do other than Shin Super Sentai? He's done all the other tokusatsu classics with Ultraman, Kamen Rider, and Godzilla. Others could be Rodan, Mothra, and Gamera, like the Four Guys collaboration, right? But another classic toku in this genre is the one and only Super Sentai. Now in this video, I want to almost pitch the idea to Mr. Anno and you, the audience. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below as I discuss the past Shin movies we have had, what they all have in common, their context, and finally, why Shin Super Sentai could be a thing, and how it could be done. Let's get into it. Starting off in 2016, we have Shin Godzilla. Japan starts getting random cases of damage, flooding, missing people, and suddenly, making its way inland, a creature, later named Godzilla, is seen with a massive tail smashing buildings. During their ineffective evacuation of the surrounding area, Godzilla has left a fatal path of destruction before overheating and returning to the sea. Thank gosh. Japan is left to plan and defend against this creature after it returns, a lot bigger this time. Many are killed time and time again as a research team quickly tries to understand and find a solution, and the United Nations plans to deal with Godzilla themselves with a nuclear attack. In this film, politicians struggle with things from protecting their citizens and evacuations, seeing the real disastrous effects and damage, to the political struggles with what needs to be done, and interesting enough, the film and the original inspirations for the original start of the Godzilla franchise was inspired by natural disasters or attacks that the country has had. For Shin Godzilla, it's the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster and the 2011 Tohoku earthquake and tsunami. And for the original, it was the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, both using the creature to act as the tsunami or earthquake or nuclear reactor, almost as a shadow or reminder of the aftermath of all these disasters, man-made and natural. It's complex, looking at the human, their flaws and their fears, and also giving us a scary sight. Like, look at this. I hate natural disaster movies because of this. Moving on to Shin Ultraman. Again, inspired and rebooting yet another classic tokusatsu show, Ultraman, this movie was the franchise's 55th anniversary and pretty much another disaster movie looking at Japan dealing with more destruction and big monsters. Giant life forms are appearing again and again, now identified as S-class species. The Japanese government, with no idea how to deal with these creatures, sets up the SSSP, the S-class Species Suppression Protocol. Sorry, this is a serious video and I'm making jokes. Okay, moving on. But when times seem dire, an unidentified giant silver man appears from space to help them. He is later named Ultraman. Coming from the land of the light, this Ultraman originally merged with Shin Hayata when he arrived on Earth, becoming the first ever of many more Ultras or Ultramen to protect Earth from awakened kaiju or the S-class species left over from ancient weapons. Another show that was inspired by the destruction of the country from natural or man-made disasters, and also from political views of the time. And to catch up in 2022, we finally have our most recent release of Shin Kamen Rider, where college student Takeshi Hongo goes against the evil organization after world domination called Shocker. Sustainable, happy organization with computational... Oh, I hate this word. Knowledge embedded remodeling. What? It's so long and complicated. Shocker! It's Shocker! After they kidnap him and remodel his body into that of a cyborg. However, before the final brainwashing, he escapes and now works as Kamen Rider 1 or Ichigo against Shocker to protect the world. Another origin story for yet another classic and beloved toku series. And now that has been talked about, we kinda know the layout and we can start identifying what it takes for a Shin movie to count as a Shin movie. Should it be made? And can it be made with a Shin lens? Or should it even be made? We always do, but never ask if we should. Enough thinking. These are my few realizations that can help us identify that it will indeed, well, most likely, be Super Sentai next. Firstly, all these films are blunt, dramatic, and seen through a realistic lens. All these shows that have inspired these films were made with a story to tell. To entertain the audience, yes, but also to show a dramatic time in people's lives, but not always being as dramatic as their Shin counterparts. But here it almost highlights the realistic damage and effect on the public, politically, emotionally, and environmentally, just in more detail and almost in remembrance of the natural disasters these films and shows were inspired by. Secondly, with the Shin movies, they have always started with the OG idea, the first of a series, with many seasons following it. And this is easier to do due to the audience wanting a great origin story that introduces them to this world. And thirdly, they are using the more mainstream tokus, so for example, Kamen Rider, Ultraman, Godzilla, Super Sentai. A show like Chousai Shin Gransaiza would not have the same reception or appreciation than if Shin said yes to Super Sentai. All these points just highlight the chance of getting a Shin Super Sentai. It's mainstream toku and has a great fan base that will watch it. It also has a great first show that has, as mentioned before, the dramatic lens that could bring the sense of dread and more. And what is the first show of the Super Sentai season? That is Go Ranger. Do you know that season? Let me explain why this could work. Himitsu Sentai Go Ranger in 1975 is the very first Sentai of this long ongoing series, and the plot is as follows. Black Cross Army, another terrorist group, threatens to destroy Earth and all we know and love. However, standing between them and their domination of the world, Eagle, a defense organization, is set up to oppose them. However, the Black Cross Army don't like that and destroy multiple Eagle headquarters in retaliation for their defiance. This fatal action destroys everyone except 5 people who, now fueled with grief and revenge, fights in the name of Eagle as the Go Rangers. A secret team though now go against the Black Cross Army, and they're very specific, maybe inspired by some evil leader, Black Cross Führer. Here we have a show that has deaths, extensive damage and suffering, and a group of people having to make a very difficult decision. Though Sentai may not be as edgy and dark as Kamen Rider or Godzilla, I still think it has a lot of death and damage and darkness in it to make it a great Shin movie. Imagine all your friends and teammates dying, and the only people who have survived are other people who fight by your side. Instead of it being one person, like Kamen Rider or Ultraman, suffering on their own, at least they have a crew together. I mean, I could be wrong with this prediction, and they could also start with a show that's still Sentai but going down the timeline a bit, with another starting show, or as the Americans know it, as Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. It's a mainstream show, known by the Americans and in Asia, possibly a gateway into more people who would be interested in the movie or Shin series. However, the show is that stereotypical bright and quirky show that is not very edgy, so I find this prediction less likely. The American counterpart doesn't have a story that is similar to natural disasters that cause public or political damage as Girl Rangers have. They just have to worry about exams and dating, I guess. But ultimately, that's the end of my video, and reasons why the next Shin movie, if there ever was to be another one, should and very feasibly could be Shin Super Sentai. I think my reasonings are sound, but let me know in the comments what you guys think of my predictions, and let me know what your predictions would be. I hope you are as hyped as I am, and I'll chat to you next time. Kezza Henshin, matane!